Hello, friends, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster.
And Midge, I usually try to split up the types of topics that I talk about, not stay, kind of in the same area for too long, but I'm on a kick of weird and grody topics, so
you won't find me complaining.
I apologize in advance. This was actually inspired by our Discord.
Nice.
So thank you, ghouls. Shout out, as we do at the end of every episode, but here at the beginning, you can join our Discord and chit-chat about all sorts of topics, but you can also suggest topics. And this is not exactly the topic suggestion that was given, but it led me to this.
So what you're saying is we don't listen to our listeners.
I was gonna say so you can join our Discord and give us suggestions, and we'll
you too can be ignored.
Kind of follow them. Thank you so much to Batty the Cryptid, for putting us on this
love
post. I hope you enjoy this, dear, even though it isn't exactly what you asked for. Because today we're going to talk about saponification.
Bless you.
Thank you. I know we thought.
I know this term, but I don't know why I know this term. Have we talked about this in a previous episode?
It may have come up before. You may also know it because, Midge, this is the process of making soap. Doesn't that sound nice? Nice, clean soap. But specifically, we're going to talk about adipocere, a.k.a. corpse wax, a.k.a. grave wax, a.k.a. mortuary wax, which, despite its name, is not wax and is, in fact, just your human body turning into soap. A totally chill and natural thing that can happen. So let's talk about that.
I guess let's do it. This is going to be the new... Now we're going to have bog juice and corpse soap.
Yes, corpse soap. So
we need to make how at Meow Wolf, they have that weird little grocery store that has gender fluid. And so I feel like we need little products.
We do. That would be so good. Oh my God.
Bog juice, corpse wax.
So like you said, you mentioned bogs. As we all know, wild things can happen to human bodies depending on the environment that they are left in. So saponification is something that we generally see happening to bodies in an area that is wet, but also devoid of oxygen, such as in the mud at the bottom of a lake or even inside a sealed casket. It sounds like we used to think that it had to be like in a lake or something. But it turns out your own body can sometimes provide enough moisture for this process.
Well, thank God for that.
Ain't it grand? The environment does have to be alkaline, so basic. And it is the presence of certain anaerobic bacteria that cause this process. It can start within a month of death, but once it gets going, it can help preserve a body for centuries, which we will hear about a little bit later. So the first kind of recorded mention of grave wax was in 1658. I've got some killer titles of things in this episode, Midge. And this was a work by Thomas Brown called Hydriotaphia, Urn Burial, or A Discourse of the Sepulchral Urns Lately Found in Norfolk. So there you go. So this basically it's like a Substack essay where he started talking about a recent archaeological discovery of some Anglo-Saxon burial pots, but then kind of just used that as a jumping off point to be like, these are all the funerary customs I know about, and then also just include discourse about human nature and about how we mark births and deaths. I was like, this is a blogger.
Yeah, I was like me at a party.
Right.
Trying to be relatable.
Yes. So what he had written in this was in a hydropical, which is like liquid holding, basically. Body 10 years buried in a churchyard, we met with a fat concretion where the niter of the earth and salt and lixivious elixir of the body had coagulated large lumps of fat into the consistence of the hardest Castile soap. So there you go.
There were several fantastic band names in that sentence.
Truly. You could staff a whole battle of the bands just out of this quote.
Well, and also I was wondering if we were gonna get in, like, if this was where this was headed, because I was like, are you and I more prone to being soap because we're fat?
We are, Midge.
Yeah!
I'm happy to report to you that we are actually double likely to become soap because women are more likely, just as you mentioned, due to the fat quantity. You and I could be beautiful soap ladies together.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So this guy is mentioning this soap, fat turned to soap, but the name adipocere doesn't come until over a century later. Back to the Paris catacombs. Hey, remember
back.
When we talked about this, about how there were all these overflowing remains in cemeteries? They had to move a ton of people, and it was during the relocation of remains from the Cemetery of Innocents that the scientists observed a gray, waxy substance on some of the bodies and dubbed it adipocere, a combination of the Latin words for fat and wax. So there you go.
Some of you Whovians in the audience might be recognizing the word adipose.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I was going to say many of us might recognize those root words. Mm-hmm. So this is something that starts off very kind of like greasy and gray when it's first forming, but over the years can harden and become like the texture of a bar of soap.
Crazy.
And it can protect, so like it can form basically like a shell around the body and protect the organs and the rest of the body for a long time.
Like dipping it in wax.
You'll see these often described as soap mummies. Technically, they aren't mummies. It's because like this process is actually like chemically altering like the body on a molecular level versus being like desiccated or frozen or whatever. But you know, when people see a preserved body, they're gonna call it a mummy.
Right.
So that's just kind of the way it goes. So this is something that can happen in the normal course of burial, usually just like in small patches. And obviously we generally don't know about that because they've been buried. So
right.
It's down there happening. But this has become an issue in Germany, as we discussed in the cemeteries app, where it is common to turn over your graves every like 25 years. They would dig up these and be like, oh, I was supposed to just have bones here and I found a distressingly preserved soap body.
Yeah.
What do I do with this? So
I've come up on a Real House of Wax situation.
Truly, yes. So apparently, like some of these cemeteries, like had to go through like a whole like soil reconditioning to like make it a less inviting environment for saponification. So like make it like less alkaline and stuff in the soil, so that
just pumping acid in.
Yep, just acid it up, you know, like you do. Maybe I don't. This is probably offensive. I was going to say you could put some sauerkraut or something in there, but sorry, Germany.
Sorry, Germans.
But of course, Midge, I'm sure you would like to hear about some famous soapy corpses.
I surely would.
I did put in my notes soap stars. All right. So in the theme of great titles, this is from an article titled "Goo of Death Helps Solve Mystery of Headless Corpse."
Goo of Death is awesome.
So in Switzerland in 1996, a headless torso entirely encased in grave wax was found floating in Lake Bernese. And I know, much like with the discovery of Ötzi, the Iceman, at first people were like, oh shit, like, is this a recent missing person? or murder. The organs were still intact. They were able to get in there and analyze the cherry pits that were in the man's stomach and parts of his bone, and discovered he was in fact from the 1700s.
Whoa.
So they suspect that his body had been like buried in sediment at the bottom of the lake. Went through the saponification process, and then in like that time in the 90s there were like a few minor earthquakes in the area, so he just got like
jostled,
shaken loose, and floated on up to the top. I do have another cursed thing to tell you from a quote from this article, which is that anthropologist Ann Ross, who has worked with corpses like this, says, "A lot of people say it's greasy. I always think of it as like a thick cottage cheese consistency, because it's kind of lumpy also. Now you'll never eat cottage cheese." I was like, thank you, Ann. Thanks for throwing that in there. Yes. So, and it's one of those things where like it gets like firm over time, and you just never know.
So if you break it up, is it still hard if it's hardened, or is there like layers?
I was told, like, the descriptions that I read sounds like it does, like, crumble, like if you were, like, to break apart, like, soap. Like, it kind of...
like those ASMR soap shaving videos.
Except for corpse wax.
Except for corpse wax. Something for everyone.
All right. So, two of the most famous soap mummies, certainly in America, are known simply as Soap Man and Soap Lady.
Aptly named.
They were both exhumed from a cemetery in Philadelphia in 1875. And Dr. Joseph Leidy, who is better known as a paleontologist, from what I saw on a quick Wikipedia look, but was just, generally, at that time, local medical guy, doctor type.
Understands dead things.
Donated Soap Man to the University of Philadelphia Museum and Soap Lady to the Mutter Museum. So at the time, he was like, hey, this couple was named Ellenbogen, and they died of yellow fever in 1792. I am sorry to report to you that was all a lie.
I was like, how would he know that?
Indeed. So in like the 30s, a curator at the Mutter Museum started trying to do additional research on identifying Soap Lady and couldn't find any records of people with that name. And there wasn't a cemetery in the place where the guy said that he got these bodies from. And there was, in fact, just an article in the 1890s after Leidy had died, where the man who had at the time been curator of the museum was like, you guys, I have such a funny story. So this one time, Leidy came to my house and was like, hey, they're moving bodies from an old graveyard, and they've turned up these two that are completely covered in adipocere. They've been dead for like 100 years. No one is claiming them. They would be such good specimens. Should I get them for the museum?
And I was like, pick these up off Marketplace?
Yeah, pretty much. And this curator guy was like, hell yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, so Lady went to go get them, and the guy in charge was all like, oh, violating graves. So he was gonna give up, but then the guy was like, I only give up bodies on order of relatives. Wink, wink. So Lady sent back a cart with a letter that said, please give this man my grandparents' bodies. And wham bam, there we go. We got these.
Oh my gosh.
And he paid 2 installments of $7.50 for them. $7.50, that is.
Oh.
And was reimbursed by the museum.
Wow.
Yep. So now they had no idea who these people were. So they originally thought that, and this is one of the things that just feels goofy to me, is they're like, oh, well, Soap Lady has no teeth, and, like, she looks, like, so, like, wrinkled, like, she must have been older, and I'm like, she's dead. Of soap. Like, dead. What are you talking about? So they did do x-rays, and determined that Soap Lady does have pins and buttons, that were not produced until the 1830s. So she had not been buried for 100 years when this man bought her in 1874.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had not been there very long at all.
She had not. Soap Man was also x-rayed and was estimated to have died between 1800 and 1810. She is still on display at the Muir Museum. Soap Man is now in the collection at the Smithsonian. I think he is in storage and not on display. There have been some additional research. They now think that Soap Lady was probably in her 20s. And it seems like she did lose her teeth when she was alive. So they're like, maybe she had some kind of disease or a condition. Like, there are still many mysteries here. But it is just kind of like, yep, these are two people's bodies.
Yeah, well, that's even just like hearing the words like he's in storage is so freaking crazy to me.
Yeah. Very much. So we expect this kind of nonsense in the 1800s. I do unfortunately have a somewhat more recent story that is very sad, so we're not going to go too in depth about it. But in 1911, two young brothers in Edinburgh, John and William Higgins, disappeared, and it wasn't until 2 years later that their saponified bodies were found in a quarry. So their father was convicted of killing them, and the forensic pathologist who inspected the bodies later admitted in his book that to distracting the police so he could steal limbs and organs from the bodies to use in teaching at the university, where they remained for almost a century until in 2009 the stolen specimens were cremated by the request of a member of the family.
Jeez.
Yeah. Corpse wax, fun and interesting. Being weird about bodies. Never cool. Like,
yeah. Well, and it's like we're having these, like, oh, it was like even 1911 feels long ago. I'm like, this shit's still happening.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm sure you guys have all seen the like recent news story about the person who was grave robbing like substantially and was like, I'm an oddities collector. Like, it's just, guys, stop touching corpses.
Yeah.
Stop desecrating bodies.
Don't do
it.
No.
I know y'all aren't doing it.
Yes, our people, we know that there are plenty of ways to be spooky and appreciate darker things without being a disrespectful asshole.
A weird little freak. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just not do that. But sorry for a sad ending to the exciting tale of grave wax. But it's just, I don't know, it's such an interesting scientific happening, and just,
yeah,
I don't know, I watch a lot of soap making videos for just like chillax purposes. And I'm like, oh, I could be soap.
I could be. You find peace in it. You're like, it could be me.
Someday I want to, but I don't want to just be like a cottage cheesy waxy corpse. Like, you got to make me into one of those fancy bars with like the piped like soap stuff on top, and like
we'll drizzle some like lavender and stuff in your coffin so that it smells. It's a nice smelling soap.
See, that would be perfect.
Some oats, make it healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a real nice grave wax.
Wow. My brain is like, science is so crazy. There's just like so many weird things that can happen.
Right? Yes.
I'm also thinking about like Fisk caskets. Like, surely.
Oh yeah, those were getting soapy as heck.
Know. Yeah, I'm like, the ones that didn't explode.
Yes. If they stayed sealed, they were getting real soapy in there. Batty had originally mentioned this in the context of Lake Tahoe, because there have been saponified bodies found there, and also I know that a lot of like Lake Superior bodies end up going through that as well. And it is just, and I don't know, it is always interesting to be like, this is a thing that could be happening in any grave right now, and we just don't know because we're not looking.
Saponification, it's all around you.
It's all around. Well, thank you all for listening to another Weird Body episode with me. I was just struck by this and was like, I gotta talk about this today. So it was a great time. And as mentioned, if you have an idea for the podcast, put it on our Discord and we might do something similar to it. Maybe not exactly.
Get close.
But we'll get close. But thank you for listening. If you are enjoying the show, we always love to get a review. You can leave those on Apple Podcasts. You can leave comments on Spotify. If you can't leave a review where you listen, you can send us a DM on Instagram. But I do believe Midge has a fresh, hot review for us today.
We do. We've got a new Apple review from Bessie K. This is a 5-star review titled A Fresh View of Horror. Whenever I tell my friends I like horror, I always get the same question. Isn't horror gory and gross? This is maybe the wrong episode for this. And I always struggle to articulate my answer, that horror is not limited to gore, but shines in a beautiful spectrum that includes the cute and cozy. The Ghouls Night In podcast is the very best representation of what horror can be. Not something that excludes with gore and guts, but something that includes with warmth and vibrancy. I never feel like I'm listening to a rehearsed podcast, but instead listening in on two spooky friends speaking from their authentic selves. I also love that the topics the girls choose are because they find them truly interesting, and not because it will please the algorithm. How rare is that nowadays? I can't recommend this podcast enough. Thank you so much, Bessie. That's a really thoughtful review.
Yes. Yeah. I can confirm that I don't think the algorithm cares about corpse rights.
I was gonna say one thing I know for sure is true about that review is the algorithm does not like us, but that's okay. We like us.
We do. We're having fun. We're doing our own thing.
Well, thank you very much again. That's it's always just nice to hear that like what we're doing is resonating with the people that we set out to make this for. So yes. I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
Definitely. And if you guys would like to follow along with us, you can find the podcast over on Instagram at Ghouls Night In Pod. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at Penny Snark.
And you can find me all over the web at Midge Munster.
And until next time, goodbye.
Bye.